Live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, everyone. This is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thank you for joining us. We are live here from the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom. This is something that we do every weekday starting at 1 o'clock. We've got a wide variety of topics that we cover here on this show. And thanks for joining us, whether you're watching on the Fox 12 Oregon app or however you found us live after the fact. Either way, again, thank you for being here. Right now, though, we are talking about something that a lot of people have talked about. I don't think there's probably any single word in the English language that has been mentioned more in the last 6 months than the word tariff. And we're going to talk about that because this is something that affects wide-ranging things, huge economies, but also when you get down to the basic level of small businesses, and particularly here in this region, what they need to know, what they need to be doing to prepare themselves to help mitigate any issues, to just really get their business through whatever it is that's going to be coming, whatever that means. There's a lot there. And so we wanted to get an expert here to talk about that with us and to help out all those small businesses and owners that are around here. And that's why we have Lauren WuCombe from Edge Collective, the founder of Edge Collective, joining us here. And Lauren, thank you, for being here on the show. This is a really important topic, for so many people. And it's important to go through this. It can be a very confusing topic as well. I'll have to say, from my perspective, it can get very confusing.
You're so right. And not only confusing, but overwhelming. The sheer volume of information and how it's been shifting over the last 6 months has really caused a lot of confusion. And people are trying to figure out, how do I deal with such dynamic information and how do I make good decisions?
Yeah, I mean, what are some of the most important things, that small businesses should be thinking about when it comes to this?
There's several things, but one of the first things that I recommend for all small business, what was that?
Oh, that's okay. That was somebody in the background as we were talking here. Yeah, sometimes it carries through in the microphone.
It happens. So one of the first things that I recommend for all businesses navigating a time as uncertain and as dynamic as this is to get really clear on your business priorities in the short-term time horizon. Are you trying to maintain revenue? Are you trying to chase profitability? Are you prioritizing market share? Because depending on which of those things is your priority, it'll lead you to make different decisions. And if you think about it now, and get really clear on it, as new information comes in, you're better prepared to respond.
Gotcha. So kind of planning that ahead a little bit there as far as what you need.
Yeah,
good thing to think about. What are some other important things for people?
Yeah. Another one I would say is when you can, delay decisions. When information is changing as frequently as it has been, delayed decisions means smarter decisions. I'll take the tariffs that were meant to go into place yesterday, July 9th. They've been extended to August 1st. So any decisions, if your supply chain is impacted directly or indirectly by any of the countries in that bucket of tariffs, if you can delay decisions to when you have more information after August 1st, that means you're going to be making better decisions. So whenever you can, defer decision making so you can make smarter decisions.
That makes sense. As like you mentioned, it could change, any number of different ways between now and then. So if you commit to something and then that's not the right path, that does make sense. So just wait until you know more info.
Just wait, which is hard because I think when there's so much happening and it's uncomfortable, action feels good.
Yeah.
It feels like you're doing something and taking control. So delaying actions really requires some discipline. And I think that the decisions on sourcing and where you're going to get your supply from are one of the most difficult decisions. I hear a lot of small businesses in the area that we talk to at Edge Collective thinking about their supply base and, hey, should I be making a change? But there's a lot of factors that go into where you source your product, and tariffs is one of those things. And it continues to be one of those things. And so really decisions about your supply base need to be made in a more holistic fashion, taking into account new tariff information. But you got to be careful to make sure your sourcing strategy isn't just avoid tariffs.
Yeah, it seems like, because that's not something that's just going to happen overnight. If you have a supply chain, coming from Indonesia or something like that, that's a months or year-long commitment, yes. I would imagine, to that. So yeah, that does, I can understand for small businesses how that's frustrating and makes that difficult, that decision. But you're right, like really thinking that through seems like that's a good idea.
Yeah, for sure. Being thoughtful. And then a couple of other things that I always recommend. I know this is a somewhat an obvious one, but I think communication is super important right now. And it's we're all part of the same ecosystem, right? Your suppliers, your customers, your employees, everyone's impacted by this, again, whether directly or indirectly. And so being able to communicate just reduces the chaos and the friction and the uncertainty for everyone around you. So transparent communication, frequent communication, it's for the good of everyone involved in the whole ecosystem.
And so great advice right there on different things that these small businesses should be thinking about. I mean, speaking to a lot of small businesses, have you heard of a lot who have been really impacted directly so far by these tariffs?
Definitely. And what's been so fascinating is everything's connected, but talking to different businesses and seeing how they're being impacted. I've mentioned directly and indirectly, some businesses, hey, our products are coming from one of the countries where tariffs have increased. Someone else, it's our suppliers' products or part of their materials are coming, but not all of them. So they might not even know, hey, where my supplier sources all of their materials. So they're two steps removed. And then you have it even more indirectly where, for example, say you are a distributor and you serve builders with certain products, and maybe your products are made in the US, but other products that the builders have to buy are sourced in countries where tariffs have increased. Well, that impacts the budget of the builders. That makes the overall projects more expensive. It means there's less projects. So even if your products are all produced in the US, your customer's wallet is being impacted. And so there's indirect impacts as well.
Right, that interconnectivity of so many different things. I mean, when you're talking about a global economy like that, that makes sense. I mean, I couldn't tell you where some stuff that I use, where that all those parts are sourced from or supply chains or how that all works.
Totally.
But yeah, all interconnected.
Yeah.
Are there any important things that people here in the Northwest specifically should be thinking about, or is this more something that everyone should be thinking about no matter where you are?
Yeah, I mean, definitely everyone should be thinking about it no matter where you are. I think here in the Northwest, particularly looking at trying to understand your supply chain and where you are connected and dependent on different countries that are being impacted by tariffs and your suppliers, but also watching the market and seeing what your competitors are doing, what your customers are doing. Those are all really important things.
Yeah, indicators and following along with as everybody's trying to figure it out, at the same time. But that makes sense.
Exactly.
What are anything else that you think is important for people to know?
Yeah, I think really it comes down to how are small businesses going to make good decisions during these really volatile times. And I think it's really critical. It's a little bit of a wake-up call for all businesses to be thinking about their capabilities in their planning and their forecasting. So a lot of times forecasting and planning might not be the thing that a business invests in first, but when you're facing these volatile times and you want to make good decisions, forecast and a planning capability and skills is really what enables you to make smart, informed decisions and allows you to be agile in your decision making. So this is really a wake-up call, I think, for a lot of businesses to think about how do I start to build that muscle so that I'm prepared, because this isn't going to all be over on August 1st.
Right. Yeah, this is something that's based on so far, this is going to be a continuous thing. And that does make sense, especially for small businesses, you want to act now. You want to, you're quick, you want to be agile on all that, but that forecasting idea, yeah, so I guess that is a good wake-up call, as you mentioned, to start thinking about that. All right, well, Lauren, thank you. And for everybody out there who wants to get more information too on what you do, what's the best place for them to do that?
Find me on my website, edgecollectivellc.com. Would love to continue the conversation.
All right, Lauren WuCombe, thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, and for everybody watching, again, this is Fox 12 Now. We are live streaming here from the newsroom, so we cover a wide range of topics, as I mentioned there at the top of this. But certainly this is something that we all know, either have a small business or know somebody with a small business, so a very important topic right there. Feel free to share this episode. You can go to the Fox 12 Oregon website, kptv.com, or of course on the Fox 12 Oregon app. A great way to watch this as well. So thanks for doing so. And we have lots more coming up here on the show. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back, though, in about 15 minutes or so. So I'll be right back then. And of course, if there's ever breaking news between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m., this is also the place to go. This is where we'll have whatever that information is. We've already had several instances of that this week already. You never know. That's why it's called breaking news. But if it does happen, this is the place to go to for that up-to-date information on your afternoons. But we'll be back here in just a few. Again, I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.